Hey boys and girls, it's me, Dr. Rucker, here for my K-2 students. Today we're going to discuss Lesson 7 of Unit 1, Freedom. Lesson 7, we're going to talk about No Forced Housing of Soldiers, Amendment 3. Now, last week we talked about Amendment 2, so this week we're going to go into Amendment 3, No Forced Housing of Soldiers. Our essential question, what you should be able to answer by the end of this lesson is, should you be forced to feed and house soldiers from the war? Why or why not? Again, you should be able to answer this question by the end of this lesson is, should you be forced, I'm going to underline that, keyword forced, to feed and house soldiers from the war? Why or why not? Okay? So before I go into our lesson, I'm going to give you a refresher of what Amendment 3 is. Amendment 3 states, no soldier shall, in time of peace, be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. Now, I'm going to read that again. No soldier shall, in time of peace, be quartered in any house. In time of peace, meaning that there's no war. So that means that when there is no war, a soldier can't be housed in your home. You don't have to be forced to house them in your home without the consent of the owner. So if I say, no, you can't come in my house, that means no, you cannot come in my house, okay? Nor in time of war. So, nor in time of war, meaning even when there is a war, I don't have to let you come in my house. But in a manner to be prescribed by law, okay? So, we know what our essential question is. Last week, you guys were introduced to the website ducksters.com. So we're going to go to that website again this week. And this week, Dr. Rucker's going to adjust this song. This week, we're going to talk about the Third Amendment. Last week, we talked about the Second Amendment. So on duckster.com, U.S. Government Third Amendment, it says the Third Amendment protects private homeowners from having the military take over their home to house soldiers. It was added to the Constitution as part of a Bill of Rights on December 15, 1791. So, going back to this, should you be forced to feed and house soldiers from the war? Why or why not? So, don't just give me a yes or no. Please explain to me using the race strategy where you're going to restate that question, answer it, cite your evidence, and explain. Okay? Again, I'm going to read this. It says, the Third Amendment protects private homeowners from having the military take over their home to house soldiers. Okay? From the Constitution. Here is the text of the Third Amendment from the Constitution. No soldier shall, in time of peace, be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law. That's what I just read to you. Okay? Why was the Third Amendment added to the Constitution? When you first read this amendment, you may wonder why the Founding Fathers chose to add it to the Constitution. Was this really that big of a problem? Actually, before and during the Revolutionary War, it was a huge problem. The British passed laws called Quartering Acts that allowed their soldiers to take over the homes of the American colonists. So imagine just being at your house, sleeping in your bed, or playing your game, or eating dinner with your family, and soldiers just show up to your house and take over. Now imagine you being in your room and now you have to share your bedroom with 3 or 4 or maybe more soldiers, okay? How would that be? How stressful would that be? Or would it be fun to you, okay? Quartering Acts. The first Quartering Act was passed by the British Parliament in 1769. It said that the American colonies must pay the British soldiers that were protecting the colonies. It also said that if British soldiers needed a place to stay, they could freely stay in the barns, stables, inns, and alehouses of the colonists. The Second Quartering Act was passed in 1774. It was much worse. It allowed for British troops to stay wherever they wanted, including the colonists' homes. This was considered a major violation of privacy and angered the colonists. It was part of what the colonists called the intolerable acts of the British government that pushed the colonies toward war. Revolutionary War. The practice continued during the Revolutionary War when British soldiers could take over the home of a colonist and demand housing and food. So not only are you coming into my home and taking over my space, now you're going to eat up all of my food. I have to now share the food that I've purchased for my family with you. And think about it. Like Dr. Rucker, I only have one kid. So I buy enough food for my family. Some people have to buy more food than that, and it could be for 3 or 4 kids or even more. But imagine someone taking over your home and you only have enough food for you and one other person or 2 other people, and now you have multiple people coming in your home eating up all of your food. Okay? The right to privacy. The Third Amendment has not been needed very often in modern times, meaning today's times. There have been few wars on American soil, and the government provides housing for our soldiers. The amendment has been used to demonstrate a citizen's right to privacy by saying that it implies that the government cannot enter private property without the consent of the owner. Interesting facts about the Third Amendment. It is sometimes referred to as Amendment 3. Patrick Henry said that the quartering of soldiers was one of the principal reasons for dissolving the connection with Great Britain. The U.S. government quartered troops in private homes during the War of 1812 and the Civil War. And the Third Amendment is one of the least cited sections of the U.S. Constitution because we technically don't really need this amendment. Well, I'm not going to say we don't need it. We don't have to refer to it as often as we do maybe the right to bear arms or any of the other amendments. So if you're on that website, Ducksters.com, we should be on the Third Amendment. Take the quiz. And if you want to listen to a recording of this page, you're able to do that as well. Okay? So once you're finished with all of that, taking the quiz and everything, we have a Questivity lesson. Okay? It looks like this. Okay, so it says Freedom Amendment 3, the right to not house soldiers. The directions tell you to go to the website, Dexters.com, and take the quiz, answer the Questivity's thinking questions, and the active question before doing the project activity. Now, the project activity is over here in this box. Okay, so you're going to answer all of this first before doing this. All right? So, the Questivity thinking questions are: list all the reasons why people may need a place to stay. So list as many reasons as you can. Compare housing soldiers to housing friends or family. How would that be different? I want you to compare. When we compare, we tell how things are alike. All right? How would housing soldiers be like housing your friends or family? And contrast that as well. It says compare. If you have time, contrast it. Tell how they're different because they are different. All right. Question 3. What would happen if everyone was required to house and feed soldiers all the time? Question 4. Would you rather be able to provide for your friends and family or strangers? Question 5. And explain why. How would you feel if you were forced to feed and house strangers? Question 6. Why is privacy important? 7. How would you change the forced housing and feeding of soldiers in need to help in a better way? Okay. Project questions. I'm going to read the project activity. It says change Amendment 3 by creating a new amendment where you find a creative way to help soldiers of war. What could you do? Divide a piece of paper in half, and one half of the paper draw a picture of your family being forced to house soldiers, showing in the picture how you may feel versus a picture of the other half where you're willingly house another group of people and how you feel about it. So I'm going to provide that paper for you in your packets. And then for the project questions, why is it important for you to help this way? How would this way of helping in the United States have an impact? All right. And then your last questions, your active question, make a list of 10 specific things that soldiers would need back in the 1700s versus what soldiers would need today. Okay? That completes our lesson for today. You should be able to answer the essential question based off of reading Amendment 3. Should you be forced to feed and house soldiers from the war? Why or why not? I hope you guys enjoyed this lesson. If you have any questions, please contact me at ruckerad@fultonschools.org. Hope to see you guys soon. Have a great rest of your day.